What we're going to talk about is the phases of healing, actually how you heal. You have ligaments that are attached across the bone. So you have a disc in here, that's a shock absorber between the two vertebrae. That gives you, it's like a shock absorber in your car. And that allows you to have this ability to stabilize really well. When you compress, your curve in your low back takes most of the pressure, but the little shock absorbers pick up the stability of this. Holding these guys together and keeping the disc in place are ligaments. Ligaments look like a Chinese finger puzzle. So when you were a kid, you had a Chinese finger puzzle. You put your fingers in both ends, and you try to pull it out. You couldn't. So it's like a joint. You try to pull the joint apart, you can't. You bend, twist, move that Chinese finger puzzle, and that's what our ligaments do for our joints. It gives us flexibility with strength and stability. When we traumatize this, we tear it. So in that tearing process, you have pieces. So the little black flecks are up here, little green flecks are up here. Those little pieces are the parts of the tendon that have been ripped and torn apart. So snap a cracker and you'll see little pieces of the cracker flying apart. That's what happens when we tear our ligaments. Now, additionally to the tears, you're going to have blood vessels damaged, and so you'll have bleeding. So bleeding on the inside, we call that a bruise. Bleeding on the outside, we call that a scab. We call that bleeding. When it starts to heal, it scabs up on the outside and it creates adhesions on the inside. So we go from this position to repair. The body is going to do this repair in 2 to 8 weeks, depending on the severity of the ligament or the tendon or the muscle. Muscles will repair overnight. That's why we work out one day, take a day off, work out. Muscles repair very quickly because they have a lot of blood supply. They have a lot of lymphatic flow, so they move around quickly. But what we have to do with this is, just as we develop a scab on our knee, we will develop a scab on the inside that fills the hole that was damaged, and the body will start from this position to make it healthy or rehabilitate it. So the rehabilitation phase of healing takes 12 to 24 months. So what we have normally thought of, and what insurance companies say is, oh, it's healed up in 2 months, it's healed up in 4 weeks. It's healed to this phase. Now, how strong is this tissue? Research says 4 to 40% normal strength and elasticity. So strength is how it's going to hold on to. The elasticity is, can you stretch it and it'll snap back, or when you stretch it, it rupture it. So it is not very good tissue. If you damaged it at 100%, what will you do at 4 to 40%? So if we stop therapy, stop treatment early, just because you stop hurting, you're going to go back into a re-injury cycle and do this all over again. So when I used to play football, I had scar tissue that developed because I kept damaging the same area over and over again. Eventually, at one point, my body created a nodule of calcium or cartilage, probably cartilage, to give extra strength to the soft tissue. And that cartilage stayed in my system for 20 years. It finally popped out. It's actually right over here. It popped out and it was a little beat. The body, if you don't take care of it properly, will eventually develop into arthritis or connective tissue that is being calcified, because the body has to strengthen it to be able to maintain it. So if we don't go through rehabilitation, you will develop arthritis. The enemies of this process are a sedentary lifestyle, sitting, weakened joints, weakened muscles. It will develop into arthritis. Now, the good thing is of this is you can't get this arthritis, this bone spur, this degenerative joint disease, and go back into the rehabilitative state. We have to put it back in the right spot, doing the right thing, and then do the exercises that are stretching and strengthening. Research tells us if you do this rehab process, you get 94% of your normal strength and elasticity back. So there is plastic deformation that goes on. If I put weight on this end, over time it will bend, and it will stay bent. So we go look at old factories, old bridges, old things. If you look at them, they start to sag and in with time and with constant pressure. So constant pressure will cause this plastic deformation. And that's what our lifestyle is doing for us today. So how do we counteract that? Number one, if your joints are in the wrong spot with plastic deformation, it makes it worse and worse. We have to go in, mobilize those joints, put them in the right spots, and then go through a strengthening and stretching process. So you would have, let's say, you've been tearing, stretching these guys too much. Now you got to strengthen these guys up in here because they have been shortened for a long time period. The ligaments have shortened, and now you've got to stretch those guys out. So it is a process of stretching and strengthening from then on. During the process of your daily activity, so we'll have people stand up and do a quick brief exercise. Stand in the doorway, put your hands on the door jambs, lean in. That takes you from this hunched position to a real erect posture. And as you lean into that, it stretches the chest open, and you get into this position, which is the opposite of what you've been in for the last 20, 30 minutes or 2 hours. So you stay in this stretched posture for a few minutes, and then you release it, and then you stretch it, and you release it. So you do that several times. And it also will take the neck from this posture to this posture. Then we have neck exercises such as the chicken neck, where you pull the neck back, contract it. Now I'm in the wrong position as I'm leaning back. I should be sitting straight up. If I'm sitting straight up, I've got that posture that I want to have. And that right there makes me dizzy as heck, because now I'm elongating the fibers of the suboccipital back into here. These guys are popping open, flooding my brain with signals, but this moves the lower neck. There was no other exercise that's really going to help the degenerative joint disease, the disc disease in the lower neck. It works great for this up here, it's fantastic, but when you do this properly, I will feel it go this far down into my back.